Hello students, today we will be discussing about the next chapter which we have to discuss, the next topic which we have to discuss, and that is utility. Basically, what is utility? First of all, we have to discuss that. Then we will be discussing the two main concepts of utility and how it is measured. It is measured in different ways. There is one way, that is ordinal utility measuring. Cardinal utility measuring is also there, so we have to discuss about that. And also we will be discussing about the two types of utility. First of all, what is utility? It is the want satisfying power of a thing. If a wood is lying down, it is not useful to us until we are using it, which means that we are making a table, or we are making or we are making a chair out of it and using it. So we need to make it should be useful. We should be make it in that way. We should use it in a certain way to make our want satisfied. So in order to make our want satisfied, we have to use it. So we have to make the utility of that particular thing, that particular wood piece. And next topic, the types of utility. They are the total utility and the marginal utility. The very first thing, the total utility, tells us about the total. That very first thing is that initial utility, the utility I get by eating one chapati, the satisfaction I get by that. If I'm very much hungry, I'm eating with the very first chapati, I feel that I am very much satisfied. I get 100 utils, say. The second unit gives me 80 utils. It will decrease, and I'll feel full. I'll feel like I am getting full. My stomach is getting full. So the utility will decrease simultaneously. As we increase the units, the utility will be decreasing. So this concept is also known as the diminishing marginal utility. This is a law in economics. This also we will be discussing in detail. But before that, I want to tell you about the total utility, that in order to get the total utility, you have to add both the utilities you have got from the first unit and the second unit. Both you have to add. Like, first I have told you that it was 100, the second was your 80. Both added together will give you the total utility, that is 180. And if I want to talk about the marginal utility, talking about the marginal utility, I'll be calculating it. I'll be subtracting. I'll be um, doing one thing, that I'll be subtracting the utility I have gained, the satisfaction I have gained from one, and I'll be satisfied. I'll be subtracting that. How is it calculated? This will be done in detail. I'll be using a table to explain you how the marginal utility is calculated from total utility. We have to calculate it by subtracting. Okay, we will subtract the total utilities. In this way we will be getting the total utility and the marginal utility, and this will be discussed in detail. So to study in detail, see the video further. It will help you to understand the concept of utility, marginal utility, total utility, and also the other things, how the utility is measured, whether we have to take the you can say ordinal concept or cardinal concept, which one is better, which one is not better. So we will be discussing all these things in this video. Thank you.
Starting with the features of the utility, the very first one is it is very subjective concept, which means that if a particular thing is having utility for you, it is having the utility for you only. It is not like it is universal. The other person might not like it, so the utility of that thing for a person is not much, or even sometimes it's zero. Like a person, when he or she is thirsty, the utility of water is very much. The next concept is it is relative. When we talk about the relative concept, which means that if I'm talking that I would like to go to this place, this hill station is much better than the other hill station. I would like to go to Shimla, I would like to go to Dalhousie, but I don't want to go to the other side. So this is the relative concept. This is the thing which means relative. Also, one more thing, like I want utility of woolen clothes, it is more in winter season, while summer season it is not there. So next one is utility is not the usefulness. Again the same thing, the usefulness is different. Utility means you are getting satisfied by something. Even a harmful thing can also give the utility. Again we can talk about a smoker or an alcoholic, a person who wants that. The alcohol is giving, the cigarette is giving utility to that person, although it is not useful, it is not socially good also, but the utility is very much for that particular person. Next is utility and satisfaction are different. Again the utility are and satisfaction are different. Utility of a thing means it is satisfying your want, and the satisfaction you are getting is the action of the utility. Okay. Utility is the cause of something and the effect is your satisfaction. Next point is utility is independent of morality, which means that it is not necessary that whether a thing we are talking about is useful is a different thing, but a utility can be given by a cigarette also, even by the money which is brought by the robbery. So it is not related to morality, it is independent of morality. Next is your utility and tastefulness. Again you know that alcohol is not tasty, so it is not independent on that. Next is how we can measure the utility. The very first term is in the terms of money. We can say that what is the price of that thing, we can put it into the utility, we can talk about that thing. If a person is ready to pay more, that person is having more utility for that thing. If I am very much thirsty, I am even ready to pay 50 rupees for the particular bottle which is of 20 rupees. So that is utility measurement in the terms of money. But when we talk about the second concept, that is in the terms of units, which we have to study. First of all we have to study the units, that is your 1 2 and 3. That is your cardinal concept, that is your cardinal concept, while the other one is your ordinal concept, which means that first unit is giving you this much, second unit is giving you this much. Both are different, so these are the different ways of calculating utility. In the cardinal concept, we talk about the 1, 2, 3 units which can be added as well as subtracted. But on the other hand, when we talk about the ordinal units, we just have to compare. We have to make the comparison. So one part of the ordinal concept is your indifference curves. We will be discussing it later on. The indifference curves will be discussed. In that, the comparison between two goods is there. Which one is giving you more satisfaction? Which combination is giving you more satisfaction? That is your ordinal concept. So you have to be very much clear. Now we will be discussing the concept of utility. So starting with utility. Utility is having two main concepts. Okay, there are two main concepts. The very first one is total utility, that is TU, and the another one is MU, that is your marginal utility. When we talk about TU, first of all we will talk about TU. This is total utility. Total utility. In this total utility, we have to add up all the units. For example, I say that the first unit is giving me 10 utils of utility, 10 utils it is giving me. And the second unit, it is giving me 9 utils of utility. So the total utility, TU, will be the utility of 1 plus the utility of second unit, that is 19. This is your total utility. This concept is your total utility. So in this way you can calculate your total utility. This we are doing with, so starting with the concept of marginal utility, we will be making a table. First of all, here I'll be taking the units. In this I'll be taking the units. Next I'll be taking your total utility of x. Total utility means the first one is 100, the next I am taking is 190. This is added up. Okay, both these are added. Then by consuming first we get total utility of 100, by consuming first and second we get total utility of 190, and by consuming the third one we get total utility of 270, and next is your 340. Okay, So you can take one more unit, that is the fifth unit, you can also take it, and it is giving me the utility of 400. Utility of 400. So now we will be calculating the marginal utility, and you have to see this very carefully, that how I am calculating the marginal utility of x. First of all, in this you can see there is no upper unit given, which means that I am not having another unit to subtract. So I am taking 100 minus 0 because I'm not able to know that which unit is before this. So starting initial unit, I am saying that I am getting the marginal utility of 100. The next one, I'll be subtracting the second this way. I'll be subtracting from, you can say, TN or TU, total utility, this is second, and this is total utility 1, total utility 2 from 1 from 2, that is 190 minus, this is your 100, I'm subtracting and I'm getting 90. Similarly, I'll be subtracting for the third unit, 270 minus 190, that will be equal to 80. Then I'll be subtracting 340 minus 270 is your 70. The next is your 400 minus 340, it is equal to 60. So you have to, whenever you have to find the marginal utility of a particular unit, you have to keep a formula in mind. You can derive that formula on your own. You can see this also, and you can see this also. So for deriving the formula, I am telling you that you have to subtract something. What is the meaning of that? That if I want to calculate marginal utility, you can see this is marginal utility of 1. I have to calculate the marginal utility of 1. I have to use this formula. You can see T0. I don't know about this, so T0. Next is your T, whatever it is, T2 minus T U1. So this is very much important. So you can see the formula which comes out is the marginal utility. If it is n, is equal to the total utility of n minus the total utility of n minus 1. 1 is reduced. So this is your formula of calculating your marginal utility. So in this way you can calculate the total utility even if the marginal utility is given to you. If I want to find the total utility, I'll be adding this. I'll be adding 100, and for the second unit I'll be adding 100 plus 90, that is your 190. Then 190 plus your 80, 270, 270 plus, you have to add it. In this way you will find your total utility. So this is the way to find marginal utility. Now see one thing, that it is decreasing. When you see this 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, it is decreasing at a constant rate. So I want to tell you one more thing, that there are different rates of decreasing. So we will be discussing all the rates of decreasing. Calculating it, starting with this, 8 minus 0 is equal to 8, 14 minus 8 is equal to 6, then is your 18 minus 14 is equal to 4, then 20 minus 18 is equal to 2, again 20 minus 20 is equal to 0, and 18 minus 20 is equal to minus 2. This is minus 2. Okay, so this way we have got marginal utility, and you can see the marginal utility is 8, 6, 4, 2, 0 and minus 2. This minus 2. So it is, by here you can see it is decreasing. Then 2 0 decreasing up to here, again decreasing. So we will be discussing that when is marginal utility increasing, when is marginal utility decreasing. Marginal utility always decreases. So this is one of the law, that is law of diminishing marginal utility. Now we will be discussing the graph of this particular table. We will be forming the graph. We will be discussing the relationship. We will be studying the graphical representation. First of all, this we have done, the table I have explained you. So I have drawn one graph. This is for total utility I have drawn, and the another one which I have drawn is for marginal utility. So this is for total utility. So I am taking total utility on y-axis. This is your x-axis, again x-axis, y-axis, and negative y-axis. This is your negative y-axis. Just a minute. Now this would be clear. So this is your negative y-axis. So starting the point plotting. First of all, we will be plotting the points. I have plotted it for my convenience so that I can explain you. Very first one is 1 is here. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3, 4, 5 and 6. So 1, 8. Total utility. 1, 8. 2, 14, 2, 14. 14 will come here in between, so I have plotted here. So this is 14, 3 and 18. 18 will come in between these 2 points. So this is 18 I have plotted here. Then is your 4, 4 and it is 20. So 20, again 5 and 20, 6 and you can see it is 18. So it is decreasing. So when we join these points, the graph will be this way. You can see the graph, it is moving this way. So this is your total utility graph. This is your TU, total utility. Another is when we are plotting the points, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, at 5 it is 0 and at 6 it is negative. So starting from this point, I am plotting the marginal utility. We don't know about 0, what was there. We are starting with the point 1, 1, 8, 1, 8. Either we have to take marginal utility here. So I am joining all these points. I'll be getting a straight line. You can see a straight line over here. I'm getting this is your marginal utility. So now we can talk about this, that when the marginal utility, important points we have to discuss in this. From this we are discussing the relationships. See the graph very carefully. TU continues to rise as long as marginal utility is positive. Till it is positive, it is continuously rising, positive. Then it comes to a constant point, and after that, when marginal utility is negative, after the 0 wala point, 0 point, it is decreasing. Okay, it has started decreasing. You can see the decrease. So here is the decrease when it is negative. So when marginal utility is positive, total utility is increasing. You can see it is increasing positively, it is increasing. When marginal utility is equal to 0, total utility is at its maximum. This is the maximum point. You can see the maximum point here. It is the maximum point. This is the maximum point, 20. Okay, so this is the maximum point. And then when TU starts declining, the reason behind that is the marginal utility is decreasing. It is negative. Decreasing means negative. Here I am talking about negative. So negative. So mu is negative, which results in TU to be declining. And after that we have to discuss when decreasing marginal utility is there. You can see decreasing marginal utility. And one more thing we can talk about is that marginal utility is decreasing and again the rate is decreasing. So the total utility is decreasing with the decreasing rate. Total utility is decreasing with the decreasing rate. So this thing you have to keep in mind, that total utility is decreasing with the decreasing rate. So this was the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. Four main points we have discussed. All of them are important, and if you will link the points with this graph and this table, it will be very easy for you to learn the points. You don't have to even learn the points. You can find out the relationship if you know the graph, and you know how to plot the graph. The points we have to plot very carefully, one on x-axis and the other on y-axis. So plot it very carefully. This is x-axis.